let's make a cheesy spaghetti bake, or as some people call it, $1 million spaghetti. For this, we have a pound of lean ground beef. I have fried it until it's all done, and I drained off all but about a tablespoon of the grease. To this, we are going to add about half to 3/4 of a cup of chopped onion, and that's why you want to leave a little bit of the grease in there, is to have enough grease for your onion to fry in. Now, I've already seasoned my beef when I was frying it, so I'm going to season this up because onions don't come out of the ground seasoned. So I'm going to saute this up until the onions are starting to get translucent. And meanwhile, you want to have a large pot of water on to boil. You want it at a nice boil, and you want to have it salted well. That's for your pasta. Now your onion is starting to get nice and translucent, so now I'm going to add 3 cloves of garlic that I have minced. Well, I don't mince it, I grate it on a microplane because it's so much easier to grate it on a microplane than it is to mince it. And it's actually easier that way than the hassle of cleaning a garlic press as well. So now once that's all mixed in and starts to become fragrant, we're going to add one 24.5-ounce jar of passata. For those of you who don't know what passata is, it is an Italian tomato puree. If you can't find it, you can use just regular tomato puree or crushed tomatoes. But if you've ever had passata, you know it's a lot different than those things are. At this point, keep your heat down on low because you're just wanting it to simmer. And now we are going to add a few spices. We are going to add 1 teaspoon of dried basil, and when I do dried spices, I always rub them between my hands to release the oils. And I'm going to do 1 teaspoon, roughly measured,
It's rough. That's a rough measurement.
Of dried oregano, and I'm going to rub it between my hands the same way. And yes, that trick really does work. The minute you rub it between your hands, you can smell it open back up. Where if you smell it in the jar, it really doesn't smell like much. But you can smell it open back up the minute you do that, because it crushes it. Now, you are going to let this simmer until your pasta is done. Now at this point, I am going to add about 1/4 of a cup of water to my passata jar to get the rest of it off the sides, and add that in here so that just so it gets everything off the sides of the jar. And you also want to add some salt and pepper because passata is actually pretty sweet. You want to make sure that you let it simmer until your pasta is done. Now at this point, you're going to add your spaghetti to your boiling water. Now we have cooked our spaghetti until it's nice and al dente. We've also pulled off our sauce because it's nice and thick now. You want to take out 1 cup of your pasta cooking liquid in case you need it. And you want to put your pasta back into your hot pot. Now you're going to add 1 brick of cream cheese that you've softened. This is an 8-ounce brick, and you've cut it into pieces. Don't put it all in one piece or it's not going to melt, because that's the reason you want your pasta hot and your cream cheese softened and your spaghetti still hot, because it's going to help melt your cream cheese. Now you want to go ahead and start stirring that in and get it to start melting into your hot pasta. Now we are going to add 1 cup of whole milk ricotta cheese and 1/2 cup of full fat sour cream. The reason I always tell you full fat sour cream when I'm fixing something like this is because low fat or no fat sour cream does not bake well. It tends to separate and curdle, and you're just asking for a mess then. Now we are going to add about 1/2 cup, roughly measured, of Parmesan cheese. You can add the real deal Parmigiano Reggiano, or you can add domestic. You can use the green can, but if you do, don't tell me. And mine's a little stiff, so I'm going to add just a splash of my pasta cooking liquid to help thin it down some. That was maybe about 1/8 of a cup. And you want to, if it doesn't seem like it's loosening, then you want to add more pasta cooking liquid until it's not runny, but until it's starting to come together better. Now this is nice and creamy. I ended up adding probably about 1/2 cup of the pasta cooking liquid. And as you can see, it's nice and creamy. I added some salt and pepper. Do that to taste, of course. And it should be extremely creamy. And I hope you can hear this sound. I hope you can hear that sound. If it's making that sound, it's right. Because any good casserole or baked pasta dish should make that glorious sound. I love that sound. Now we have a 13x9 glass baking dish that I've sprayed with cooking spray. I use coconut oil spray because it re-solidifies and doesn't run down. Now we are going to take just a little light bit of the sauce, of your meat sauce. Just a tiny bit. Don't take much of it. Just enough to coat the bottom, just a little bit, because you want to leave enough for the topping. You'll see some recipes that put sauce on the bottom for things like this, and some recipes that don't. If you don't, it has a tendency to burn on the bottom. Your pasta has a tendency to burn and stick to the bottom. You don't want that. So take out the insurance policy and put a little bit on the bottom. Now we are going to take our cheesy spaghetti mixture, and we are going to start dropping it on top of it, just in little piles, and we'll spread it out. And this is already looking good. That extreme cheesiness and creaminess of this is to die for.
If you're not aware, also, like Angela K does this quite a bit anymore, where like a good white sauce actually goes really well mixed with a red pasta sauce.
Yes.
It's actually delicious.
Whether it's a bechamel or ricotta sauce or just a cheesy sauce, it's really good mixed with a marinara. Now you want to make sure that this goes to, the spaghetti mixture goes to every corner. Kind of push it down a little because you're going to want it to become a little more solid as it bakes. Now you are going to start spooning the rest of your meat mixture over the top. Just like lightly pour it over the top until you have put all of it on top. Now you want to spread that all around. Make sure it's in all the corners. That passata will make your sauce very rich. If you can't find passata and you're using crushed tomatoes or American tomato puree, it may not get as thick, because passata is very thick because it's been cooked down a lot. So you've got a very concentrated tomato flavor. A lot of brands make it. You can get it in Cento, you can get it in a lot of different ones, but Moody is my favorite. Now we are going to add on top about 2.5 cups of grated mozzarella cheese. I grated this myself. For those of you who don't know, the stuff that is pre-grated has additives on it to keep it from sticking together. It used to be potato starch, now it's other stuff, and it don't melt that well anymore. And it feels very funny in your hands. I mean, your hands feel almost powdery and chalky. So I just grate it myself. Because actually it's even cheaper to just buy a block and grate it yourself. Now you want a good, probably 1/2 to 2/3 cup of grated Parmesan cheese to go on top of that. And now we are going to put this into a 350-degree preheated oven until everything's all nice and bubbly. This beauty is out of the oven and it baked for between 25 and 30 minutes. Mine, to be oddly specific, mine baked for about 27 minutes. Basically, you want it to bake until you start seeing bubbles everywhere. Like you can see here where it's bubbled up on top. That's how you know when it's done, because everything's pretty much already hot. So it just kind of has to meld together a little bit. But the important thing is, once it comes out of the oven, you want to let it sit. Just like you would lasagna or anything like that, you want to let it sit for at least 15 minutes. It should come out in one slice. Now, that could be tricky. It could be tricky to get it out in one slice, especially the first slice. I may be asking for trouble. Now look at that.
Okay.
Look at that.
You can't look at it. You took it out of the screen.
Look at that.
That looks awesome.
Isn't that beautiful?
You did good. Hey, y'all, she's smiling. I know you've seen her smile. She's happy. Happy.
And it smells amazing.
Looks good. You did a good job.
I can't wait for you guys to try it. It is so delicious. So remember, come back next time to Angelakay's Kitchen, where I take you from gourmet to everyday and everything in between. God bless.
Now, it looks really good. I think we can all agree to that. But now let's just see how it tastes. I bet it's delicious. Stinking crushed it. Fabulous dish. Angela Kay can be super proud of this. And she should be super proud of all her food, but wow. You did a good job. Absolutely fantastic. Everything you'd want in a baked spaghetti dish and more. Perfect flavor, perfect balance, nice and cheesy but not over cheesy. The sauce in it is the white sauce with the red sauce, perfect meshing together. I'm gonna shut up so I can go eat, but Angela Kay can really cook, y'all.